It wouldn't be reasonable of me to not warn that if your doctor has told you that you need to avoid salt or keep your sodium intakes low, you may just want to thumbs up this video and leave at this moment, because we're going deep into the salt mine. So as of yesterday, actually really today, the SJW side of comics has completely lost their damn mind. And it was interesting because basically a fan of comics, a fan of the hobby, got sick of not having the type of product that they wanted and went out and decided to do their own comic book. In fact, a graphic novel. That person then went and hired well-known artist John Malin, who drew on the last run of Cable, and Ethan Van Sciver, who's drawn on Green Lantern, both legends in the field, and Brett Smith to do the coloring. And lo and behold, 5,600 people bought it. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, that's a lot. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't sound like an absolutely huge amount. But you have to remember, this is a graphic novel from a complete unknown, right? Completely unknown creator. And what happens? Let's look at the Comic-Con sales of graphic novels in April 2017. Okay? The number one graphic novel, Batman, Volume 2. Okay? Batman sold 6,800 copies. The number two on this list is Hellboy, Into the Silent Sea. But you know what the actual number two is? It's Jawbreakers, Lost Souls, with, by my count, 5,613 current sales. And he opened this back up because, well, some more spurgery. So it's entirely possible by the time this ships, it could be the number one selling graphic novel of that month. And that, in my opinion, is exactly why these psycho SJWs are freaking out, because they're all like crabs in a bucket, okay? It's a saying that somebody told me a long time ago, and I'll spare you the long explanation, but essentially, you'll see fishermen and stuff put crabs inside of a 5-gallon bucket, and they won't put a top on it. The old adage goes like, hey, why don't you put a top on it? Well, every time a crab starts to get out, the other crabs always pull them down. And that's exactly what's happening here. We've had 2 comic pros sign on, 3 really, and a fan put out their own book and demolish titles like Superman, Batman, Justice League. I mean, the list goes on and on. Green Arrow, Black Panther. Here's Jawbreakers way up here. Okay? That is why everybody is entirely freaking out. So basically, then the book gets distribution. They announced distribution last night with Antarctic Press. Okay? Which means that this book will be able to be in comic book shops across the country. Amazing. Just think about that. It'd be like me going out and being like, oh, I'm sick of SJW's Magic the Gathering. I'm going to put together my own game and then immediately have like the number 2 selling game that month. So a large comic store, very, very active on social media, located in Dublin, had to, of course, comment on this, saying, we are choosing not to stock the upcoming Antarctic Press comic Jawbreakers. Please check comic shop locator for an alternate local retailer. Now, this is, of course, the virtue signal of all virtue signals. This is why crazy SJWs don't, they have no idea how to run a business. And I'm sure, obviously, this, of course, didn't go bad at all. Let's see, the first comment. Know what? Screw it. Now I'm backing it. Thanks for the push, Big Bang. And that's why I had to leave Big Bang behind. I didn't even support Jawbreakers, and I'm sick of Big Bang bullying anyone who is remotely right of the far left. My money goes to stores and support and respect everyone, not just people that vote on the same side of the aisle. Exactly. And by the way, this is about, superheroes fighting a giant ape. The book is apolitical, right? I mean, they, of course, get roasted. And what ends up happening is the book reaches new heights. In the last couple of hours, when it broke that comic book shops were trying to boycott this book, $30,000 came in. Here's another very popular reply. Wow, seriously? I just looked it up, and the comic looks great. They even shattered their Indiegogo goals. There's a demand for it, and the Marvel DC artists that worked on it. What's the problem? Exactly, right? And of course, when the crabs in a bucket start trying to pull people down, you get some absolute hilarity. Here we have a comic pro saying, "Hey, Jack," and Twitter support, "your company continues allowing an account," the guy who wrote the book, "ran by a man who has a record of harassment, stalking, and assault attack comic creators and retailers in ways that are increasingly disturbing. What are you going to do about this?" What? Here you have a comic pro trying to bully her fellow comic pros. "I think most of us know comics and diversity dude is trash, but some of you still lap up praise from his followers, retweets, etc. I'm not saying you need to attack them or auto-block, but uncritically engaging with them is a slap in the face to those of us they've targeted." They're just salty that his book outsold you, and his book didn't need to rely on pushing ideologies and just having fun. And then we see obsessive Mark Waid completely spurging out. "For those of you late to the circus today, simply put, a bunch of retailers, like 3 or 4, in a private discussion talked about a comic book that they decided they didn't want to carry in their stores, as is their right in a free market system." Yeah, my guess is Mark Waid, if a store came out and made a public statement that they didn't want to cover Miss Marvel or they didn't want to carry Squirrel Girl, you wouldn't be so open to the free market system. "Does your store carry every single comic book published every month?" No, but they also don't make a comment, public statements about every one they carry and they don't carry. This is 100% about virtue signaling. "I have a call into Antarctic Press. Until I hear back, I'm hesitantly willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that they don't really understand who or what they're getting into business with. Thought it would seem a stretch. Is a possibility. If I hear back, I'll report in. Curious as they feel how they feel about publishing creators whose marketing strategies allegedly, cough, encourages their fans to threaten the employees of stores and to harass and one-star review bomb stores that don't order their product." This, of course, is a complete lie, an entire lie, right? And he keeps changing the statement and keeps having to revise it because none of this has been proven. What happened was the private conversation about these stores about the comic book got leaked by people inside that group, okay? And they didn't like it. Now, essentially what happened was the name and phone number of a public business was shared, not anybody's private docs, nothing like that. I mean, and these people are going insane. And of course, they're trying to put all the pressure on Antarctic Press, which I, of course, want to give a huge shout out to for not getting bullied. You should follow them on Twitter if you use Twitter. And it's just an indie company, right? By Mark Waid's logic, right? By this SJW's logic, he has every right to not order the book. But why is he calling these people and shaming them for printing it, right? It's a free market economy, Mark. How come that doesn't work in terms of Antarctic Press? By the way, My Hero Macadamia is an excellent comic book. Excellent. If you want to support Antarctic, that's where I would start. I'm not familiar with these other ones, but again, they're just a publisher. They make the comic book available for comics stores to order if they want, if there's demand, right? Here's Diversity in Comics saying publicly, note, please do not contact any of the comic shop owners I list or harass them. Also, none of these people are the ones I promised not to identify. Here he says he's encouraging his fans to threaten the employees of stores and or harass them.
He's losing his mind. And I'm reaping all the benefits.
Just lying. Here's another comic pro in a hilarious self-own. Oh, $200K in an average of a $50 a copy? That's not a general audience demand. That's preaching to the choir. Meanwhile, this book sells double or triple what this clown would ever sell. And again, 5,600 copies puts it right here in the number 2 spot, defeating Captain America. Mark Waid. Maybe Mark Waid is worried about this. Mark Waid sold 1,900 copies. So why is he speaking about this? It seems to me that he would be wanting to understand and learn a little bit from this publication, because I'll tell you what, self-publishing comic books is the way of the future for the industry, in my opinion, or indie publishers, right? Ethan Van Sciver's Cyberfrog is going to outsell this book. John Malin's projects are going to, like, individual comic pros who don't want to bend the knee to the pressures of the crazy social justice and witch hunts that go on. They can just put out their own Indiegogo 3 or 4 times a year and make $1 million, gross $1 million in sales. Why would they ever? You're going to see this is going to change things because comic pros are now going to feel emboldened. I guarantee you, Ethan looked at the success of this and is like, dude, I don't need DC. I mean, it's great that they pay my bills, but I've earned my name. People know who I am. They're going to buy my book. 5,600 copies and growing. And this is what needs to happen in gaming. And we see it with the indies coming out. And same with board games. The Kickstarter, for as many failures as there are, the Kickstarter economy is great. And Indiegogo, if you're worried about SJWs trying to bring your campaigns down. And the thing is, the geniusness of all of this hilarity is that this isn't like a alt-right book. This isn't even a political book. It's just a good old-fashioned comic book. And people came out and they bought it. And of course, losers who hate their lives hate when other people succeed.